Andrew Tate is officially making the world more misogynistic. Apparently, sort of, but it's backed up by science. The Andrew Tate effect. Oh my god. I did a little bit of reading into this article, and guys, we're in for something special with this one. The internet is fueling a new wave of misogyny, scientist claims. Oh boy, what kind of a scientist are we dealing with? Society has slipped backwards into its treatment of women. Oh man, I wish. And the internet fuels a new wave of misogyny, a scientist claims. Deborah Cameron. Color me shocked. Professor of Language and Communication at Oxford University says the internet has allowed sexism to evolve into a new modern form. Why are you doing so much talking? Don't you have a cake to bake? Get back into the kitchen and rattle some pots and pans instead of putting thoughts to paper. Leave that to the men. Jokes. Sort of. Rather than becoming a thing of the past, Professor Cameron argues that figures such as Andrew Tate and Donald Trump. See, I told you, we're in for a banger with this one. I'd imagine Professor Cameron and bang are probably not two things that you often hear in the same sentence. Have promoted new forms of misogyny. Can you point to anything specifically? Okay, I will give you the grab 'em by the pussy thing. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll spot you that one, because that's going to be the easiest one that you're going to pull up. Probably because you fantasized about it a fair few times, but I'm just also thinking, what does Andrew Tate say that's implies a hatred towards women? I'm just wondering, as somebody who's consumed a fair amount of Andrew Tate content, as well as, Donald Trump's speeches, and also seen him comport himself in the public eye for a very, very, very long time as the most prominent Donald, also out there. I would just like to know, what is out and out female hatred? TikTok. Oh, okay, cool. You're just watching the clips. So you're like, at least you're a self-snitching idiot. That's fine. And other online forums have created spaces where sexist ideals can freely be promoted. Yeah, especially on TikTok. Just check the amount of male hatred that's out there, leading to a rise in verbal threats and abuse against women. How so? Quantify that. You can just throw that out there, but if you can't back that up with any empirical evidence, well, you just look like an ass. But of course, what do I expect? She's just going to continue to nag. Professor Cameron says that sexism is now become a part of ordinary and unremarkable mainstream advertising, comedy, and news reporting. What the fuck are you talking about? Mainstream. I would go ahead and give you maybe a little bit of leeway if you were talking about, alternative sources of comedy and news reporting, but mainstream advertising, where they're unironically getting rid of any sort of moderately attractive women, replacing them with these fucking ham beasts that constantly need the double page fold out center fold in order to, properly encapsulate all of their nooks and crannies for the new age underwear model. Or in comedy, where Dave Chappelle, every time that he takes a stage, he continues to get canceled time and time again. And news reporting, I don't even know how to address that accusation. It's so unless you're talking about Trump, what you think is so misogynistic, or what Andrew Tate didn't say, but you'd like to go ahead and reformat that and recontextualize it in order to fit your worldview. Okay, in her book, of course she has a book to promote language, sexism, and misogyny. Professor Cameron argues that sexism has evolved into a form that reflects today's conditions and digital culture. This is why we need to repeal the 19th. Part of that change has been the rise of a new particularly extreme version of masculinity, which has spread throughout extremely active online communities. Oh my, is she gonna name it? I wonder if she's going to name it. The internet has enabled the most extreme, obsessive, and dangerous misogynists to find each other and interact intensively. Yeah, it's not like this shit hasn't happened since the days of chat rooms and internet forums, but now it's gotten to be different. In the past, Professor Cameron says these individuals might only have shared their views or their violent fantasies. You're making a lot of claims here without anything being backed up. The few trusted confidants in the pub or the locker room. This is the effect of what's called the manosphere, something that's been around for decades, but okay, a collection of forums hosting subcultures like incels. Right, see, it's totally fine for these bitches to just go ahead and throw this shit back. Oh, you're just an incel. Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, cool. You don't want to be sexualized, but then at the same time, your immediate go-to pejorative is referring to somebody who's not getting any bitches. Very strange, but okay. Pickup artists and male supremacists, unlike this female supremacist. And pickup artists. What was Mystery still running around with a fucking feathered hat and painted fingernails? It's like, is that what we're going with? You can't even name the red pill? Okay, cool, fantastic. Who are also active. Here's how they tied in. I told you this is a good one. In other kinds of extreme politics like white nationalism and neo-Nazism. Cite your source. Because yes, noted white nationalist and neo-Nazi, half-black Andrew Tate. Right. Professor Cameron says figures like Andrew Tate have been particularly influential in spreading his new extreme form of misogyny online. Can we get one Andrew Tate quote? Just one. Or are you just trying to sell a book using the name of the most Googled man in 2022? Are you just trying to craft a narrative? I'm wondering. Tate, who is currently awaiting trial. Yeah, we've been waiting over a fucking year, over a year and a half at this point in time, but okay, on charges of human trafficking and creating a criminal gang to exploit women. Yes, rob them of their TikTok earnings. That's all it's fucking boiled down to. Has amassed millions and millions of followers and is particularly popular among young men and boys. Yeah, millions and millions of followers on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, places that he's been, let me check, banned. Huh, interesting. Professor Cameron says that Tate has been the beneficiary of social media algorithms that promote controversial and harmful content. That's why you could get a book deal, and Andrew Tate doesn't. All right. He has billions of followers because he knows how to work the algorithms. Right. Everybody's so stupid that just because the algorithms work on them, billions of people are just going to adhere to his message. Yeah, I don't think billions of people know who he is. I'll be completely honest, given the fact that there's 8 billion people on Earth. I think maybe a billion people have probably heard the name, and I am being super generous, okay? But the number of people that will be able to tell you anything that he says accurately, far smaller percentage than that. Let's be completely honest. But also to think that they're also pudding-headed, that they will just be simply sculpted by seeing a clip of Andrew Tate. Oh my God, my immediate idea is that I'm just going to start to grow out a beard and shave my head and start to hate women and beat them about the head and body. You don't really think so. Tate's influence is partly about the content he produces. If it had no appeal to anyone, he wouldn't be the phenomenon that he is. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so cool. What is the thesis of your book? Okay, what is the idea that you're trying to get across here? Okay, he has billions of followers because he has a popular message. So are you trying to say that billions of people on Earth are misogynistic? Because that's the natural extrapolation to this thought process. Is that what you're going with? Again, they're just literally handing out book deals to anybody, apparently. But it's also about the way technology scales things up. A Victorian misogynist who communicated via church sermons or printed treatises might have reached quite a lot of people, but not billions across the globe. Which is kind of funny, because I would say, okay, some people might take this as blasphemous, but I'll just go ahead and, keep it as honest as it gets. All of the religious texts that are out there are far more misogynistic in her phrasing, not in like the actual definition of the word, far more misogynistic and controlling of women than anything that Andrew Tate has ever fucking said. And between the Quran, the different variations on the Bible, or the Torah, anything under the Abrahamic umbrella, far more restrictive on the movement and actions of women. Just saying. Recently, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was urged by MPs to tackle the radicalization and brainwashing of school children by Andrew Tate's content. Yes, because Rishi Sunak has nothing fucking better to do with his time. However, she also claims that Tate is only part of a wider normalized acceptance of sexism and misogynist language in everyday life. Again, where's one example? Professor Cameron says that the new wave of sexism in society has led to women facing more abuse. Right. Andrew Tate is popular, women most affected. That's why it's an overwhelming amount of women wanting to go and be with Andrew Tate. How do you square that circle? Digital interactive media makes it very easy to harass people anonymously with abusive and threatening messages. Again, you're talking about somebody who's been canceled off of everything. The only way that you can get directly in touch with Tate is through Twitter. He's been banned off of fucking WhatsApp. He's banned off of Discord, Twitch. You probably can't even get a fucking Bugatti in the metaverse, for Christ's sakes. Like, this guy is so taken off of everything. What is your point? Kamala Harris, right? Oh, okay, right, yeah, people hate Kamala Harris because she's a woman. Have you listened to a Kamala Harris speech? There are plenty of things that you can despise about Kamala Harris, not even having to do with her old titties, or the fact that she got to her position that she did was, well, because of her very close relationship with Willie Brown. That's all we need to say about that. We know that since the beginning of the digital era, there has been a very large increase in online targeting women specifically. We know that? We know that specifically, right? The internet invented women most affected, especially women with a public profile. Just go ahead. Go ahead. I've got some controversial, okay, or unpopular opinions about some of the more traditionally, specifically my reaction to either a Doctor Who or Daily Wire's The Lady Ballers. Go ahead and read the comment sections there. I'm not a particularly famous or prominent individual. I'm thankful for the subs that I have, but I would I wouldn't even say that I'm a moderate-sized YouTuber. And just go and see how much hate and shit is in there, okay? Meanwhile, if a woman did even a fraction of that stuff, okay, they aren't going to get nearly as much attention. Negative attention that they'd get. But it's also hilarious, okay, the amount of abuse that women get online, especially women with a public profile. Okay, cool. If you take the average man, okay, you take a man and you take a woman, both of which have 100,000 followers on your chosen platform. Who's going to be able to monetize their platform better? The man or the woman? Maybe the man, because he's probably going to be more industrious and a problem solver instead of just doing the minimum amount in order to procure enough money in order for them to, live for a month. I'm just saying, okay, who's going to have an easier time monetizing their platform? Who can just simply take off their top and make a ludicrous sum of money, as opposed to the other half of that equation that's going to have to provide value, who's going to have to say some things that resonate with a large majority of people, somebody who's brave enough to say the things that everybody's thinking. So you know what that means, Professor Dick Sucker? It means that there's a lot of people who agree with the words of Andrew Tate. There's a lot of people who agree with the big scary orange man, not for the fact that they're misogynistic, not for the desire that they just want to wrap their fist around some bitch's hair. Absolutely not. Are there misogynists that exist? I think you can find a fair few of them, or a vast majority of them, in Washington, D.C. or in places of power. But do I think that they are the rank and file Andrew Tate or Donald Trump supporter? Yeah, the evidence really doesn't bore out, especially if they listen to what these people say, employ the principles that they speak about, comport themselves in a way that they did in order to achieve the fame and fortune, the status that they have. I think that you would find that they quite have a very vocal, a very supportive female base, much to the contrary to you and what you're trying to push here, Dr. Cameron. But of course, you're trying to sell a book. We'll just be over here. We'll just be over here on this side of the internet, the misogynistic side of the internet, creating a better world for everybody. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.